I'll be the Associate Puppetry Director, and that means I will lead the training of the horse puppeteers. There are a lot of aspects of puppetry in the show, and so we will start off by training the 12 puppeteers who play Joey at Topthorne and the 3 puppeteers who play Baby Joey. And we will talk about how horses behave, and we'll talk about the background of puppetry and the history of Handspring and that company's specific approach to puppetry, and the way that they can act through puppets. That little core of knowledge then spreads out into the wider company, and as rehearsals move forward, we need to teach the horse teams to share their role with 2 other teams playing the same character, but also just within that team 3 people. And also we need to work with the actors to let them know what it's like to act opposite a puppet. So all of the stagecraft in the show is inspired by this this language of puppetry, and so everyone in the company needs to get a feel for it. And then as we move into the theatre, then we're looking at just how the reassessing how the staging is and how it fits this particular space. I've worked with Handspring for 12 or 13 years on a number of different projects in Africa and in London and abroad. A lot of that time has been on Warhorse, and recently we've been starting a few projects based in London with a group of puppeteers who have met through Warhorse and puppet makers, and this is our workshop. And we're currently talking about doing another project in Germany next year, in 2013, in Munich. So fingers crossed, I'll be spending more time in Germany and probably learning to speak German. It can take a while to find out who's right for this show. It's difficult. It's certainly difficult to tell from looking at someone's resume or CV to get any idea of what they can do. The puppets that we use in Warhorse are so different from the kind of puppets that people will have worked with before, that sometimes coming in with previous puppetry experience can be a problem. What we look for is good actors, and we look for actors who can work with these puppets. And the only way of doing that really is to bring the puppet with us and put people in the puppet. Then give them a chance to find out whether they enjoy working with the puppet. It can take a while for someone to get used to the puppet, and so we try and bring a group of actors together and work with them over a few hours, over 2 or maybe 3 sessions of 2 or 3 hours, to give them time to try out the horse, to watch the horse in action with other people in it, and to develop some of the skills that they'll need to work together. All of these characters need to be performed to the highest levels of performance, and what the puppetry technique demands is that the actors work together to create a character between 3 actors. It's very rare for our puppeteers to not have some kind of acting background, and I think where the staging in Warhorse is different perhaps from some other shows is that although what these puppets do is spectacular, it's not just spectacular. It also is rooted in a character and creating a character and bringing the emotional journey of that horse all the way through the story. So you can't create this horse character without being a fantastic actor, and the difficulty for us is finding actors who are humble enough and modest enough to not mind being invisible because inside the horse or the audience, they don't always see your face, they don't always recognise you when you leave the theatre after the show, and you need to believe that the character is more important than yourself.
Okay.
You do need a high level of physical fitness and strength. The horses are designed as well as they can be to distribute the weight and the effort evenly through the body. But it's an extraordinary thing to be doing with your body, and as with any physical performance or athletic performance, you'll be putting your muscles under strain. So we expect the actors to be fit and healthy. And as we go into rehearsals, we recommend a program of kind of fitness training and muscle building for the various jobs. The three puppeteers who work the horse particularly have different jobs and different demands on them. So the head puppeteers are holding quite a heavy weight outside of their body off to one side, and that obviously puts a lot of weight on the spine. But inside the horse, the guys are wearing weight on backpacks, and they're using their arms a lot to do repetitive movement. So they just need to make sure, and we deal with this as we move forward. It's important that we make sure that people are prepared for that kind of workload. Personally, the hardest job for us is to find actors without egos, and the most difficult thing that we ask people to do is for three people to be one character. So we do ask, even from the beginning of the auditions, we ask the three puppeteers who've never met each other before usually to stand inside this strange object and breathe together and lift one leg and then lift another leg of the puppet and understand that that's one person, that's one horse. And this level of concentration, this sort of perfectionism, it's very difficult to find, but very exciting when you find an actor who has that much care over what they do. A puppeteer who works the heart of the horse will put the hoof down 400 or 500 times in a show, and the kind of person we're looking for is annoyed with himself if he does it wrong once. So there's a level of perfectionism, of love for their work, of care, and of a kind of humility or a lack of ego that if you can find people like that to work with, it's a nice place to work anyway. So those are the people we're looking for. As the auditions go on, we need to put together the teams who will play Joey or Top Thorn, and some of the teams play both horses, but we need to put people together with the head, the heart and the hind, and this is quite a difficult job, and some of it's guessing and a lot of it is watching, and so you see the way that the different people relate to each other in the room, and of course as a casting director it's your job to make an assessment of how someone is and take clues about how they behave. We usually look to balance the teams in terms of different backgrounds and different aptitudes and different character types, because as the run of the performance goes forward, they'll often mix up these teams. But what the process of making the show does is it forces people who are fantastic performers, very experienced and very talented, into a place that they haven't been before. So for the horse teams particularly, they're going to be in a rehearsal where they're outside their comfort zone, and that can force them to rely on each other in a way that ultimately is very strong for the company as a whole. And very often in rehearsals we find actors who are playing human roles in the show are envious of the horses, not because of the hard work that they do, but because of the relationship that they have with each other, the amount of trust and reliance that they can have on each other. And it becomes an emblem for the way the ensemble of the whole company engages with each other. There is a maximum height to play Joey. So quite often in auditions we find 2 or 3 fantastic harp puppeteers who are 6'2", and I should do that in centimetres. And they can't do Joey because he can't fit inside the horse. So alongside the work that we're doing to find the people who have the technique and the skill and the personality, we also have to match body type to or size to the horse. The 2 horses are mechanically slightly different because the length of the legs is different and the length of the neck is different. And actually the simple difference between those things invites the puppeteer to play the instrument differently. So the horses have different personalities because of their anatomy, as well as because of the character work people are doing. But very often the puppeteers can be the same, moving from one horse to the other, and it's very enjoyable to play the 2 different horse characters, I think, for a puppeteer. And sometimes we are surprised by who can do which job. Sometimes we find people with a very different background or body type just feels right in that character, and when you have an instinct like that, you should go with it. What we don't want to do in the auditions is make it feel like an examination. I think what we're looking for in Berlin is the best possible people to create this story, and the one thing that we really are excited about when we are watching people in the auditions is whether they enjoy the work, whether they're engaged in the story, whether they are interested in horses, whether they're interested in puppetry. What we're looking for is an ensemble of actors throughout the company, of the actors and the puppeteers, and lots of people in the performing company do both jobs. But we're looking for a team. We're looking for a team who can carry this story and perform it time and time again. And so you need all the talents and the skills that we're looking for, but almost more important than that is the energy and the heart and the desire to be part of the company.
Phoebe, arise, a gleam in her eyes, and the year turns round again. And like Barney Corn, who rose from the grave, a new year will rise up